Hello, dear listener, and welcome to ThriveCast, unlocking your full potential. Your well-being is our priority, and we're here to provide you with practical, heartfelt advice on living your best life. Together, we'll explore identity, purpose, prosperity mindset, authenticity, and so much more. So grab your headphones and get ready. Your journey starts now.
So welcome everybody to Poverty or Prosperity, Prosperity or Poverty. It's a choice. My name is Katarina Hanssens Carlsson, and I'm the CEO of Destiny International 11, finding your brilliance, your brilliant blueprint so you can prosper. And with me today is Oscar Nygren, as usual. So Oscar, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'll do that. So my name is Oscar. I am an emotional fitness coach. I have a website called realitydecoding.com and Facebook group is called Live Your Purpose. Basically, I do help people to thrive by, first of all, understanding their emotions, understanding their mindset, and shifting it into what really benefits them. And so I think this session alone is really much about that, because it's about making people aware of that we're living in a world that actually is abundant and not poor. So I'm looking forward to this session.
Wonderful. So we have an intention for you today, and my intention for you is that you consciously choose prosperity, because that's a fact. Our world is prosperous, you're prosperous, and we're going to prove it to you. So what's your intention for today, Oscar?
Yeah, my intention today is to uproot that old mindset of lack and showing all the parts that is causing that to be so firm inside of us, and perhaps also for people to get a taste of how it would be if they thought differently.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, which is true, prosperity or poverty? I mean, the church, many religions took a vow of poverty. Well, that's okay. That's their truth. But it's not my truth. And for me, it's not a universal truth. Because if you look around you, we have forests, we have mountains, we have minerals, we have gold, we have so much. In fact, even monetarily, if we divide the world's wealth between 8 billion people, everybody would have $1 million, which is, it's not bad. A lot of people would say, oh my God, I'll be rich for the rest of my life. But if we did, that's how prosperous we are. So we live in a resourceful world. We are resourceful. So either you have a poverty consciousness, which is going to get you to be very, very limited, so that you'll be on survival, struggle, all these S words: struggle, survival, sacrifice, all that. And it's a suffering game. So for me, I wouldn't choose poverty ever. I would choose prosperity. What do you say, Oscar?
Wow, I mean, honestly, from my now experiences is that poverty is in our mind, and whatever information we choose to allow into our minds on a daily basis, on a habitual basis, is what constitutes the reality that we're living in and what we're saying to ourselves. And when we're saying certain things to ourselves, our reality literally molds itself into that creation. So it is about, for us, first of all, questioning, wait a minute, now I see that, but is that true? You know, something that you see on the news, for example, you can see poverty, but you might not even see that the news is very biased to showing what is bad. But there's so much that is good. But since we're very old being and we were conditioned into, let's say, being negatively biased because it caused us to survive more, we didn't get eaten up on Serengeti or in Africa or in Asia, by tigers or lions or whatever, then because we looked out for each other, then that negativity bias became so much easier for people to connect to rather than looking at the positive side. So again, the mind is whatever you're having in your mind is what will show itself outside of you, and that's how you will reason whether or not you are prosperous or you are in a state of lack.
Exactly. So what we think about, how we think, creates our reality. So
Yeah.
what is wealth? And where does our wealth come from? Well, it's goods and services, you can say, but where does that come from? From our ideas, from our brilliance. I've been working for 20 years on people's inner brilliance to start their entrepreneurial blueprint for their company. So they start knowing who they are, what they're up to, and where they're going. And every single one of my clients has brilliance, absolutely brilliance. Now, has that brilliance been dumbed down in schools? Yes. There was a NASA test to test 1,000 children, and Dr. George Land proved that children up to the age of 6 are operating from 98% creative genius, but by the time they're teenagers, it's down to 12%. So our schools are not doing us a good service. So, does your brilliance disappear? It appears to disappear, but it doesn't. It's always there. Our brilliance is within us. Our purpose is within us. Our driving force is within us, and it's there. We just have to dig deep and find it. So, what do you say about that, Oscar? Do we have brilliance?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what also came to my mind was that we have this school system, and because it's graded and you're supposed to perform on a basis of what someone else is choosing, especially when it comes to forming it as like, oh, you're gonna fit in to society, you're gonna be a cog in a machine. Obviously we need to have certain things in place, but the the honoring of a person's individuality is lacking in our school system. Because of that, then people instantly feel that because we are so unique. It's just, you can just go out on the street and you see not a person wearing exactly the same clothes. None. Everyone has different. It's amazing. We're 8 billion people and no one has the same clothes. I'm flabbergasted by that. But perhaps they are. It's like, oh, someone exactly across the planet, but I've yet to see it. I've yet to see it. There might be shoelace that is different, but it's still the difference. And that's what I want to talk about. The honoring of who we are as a person, because we get compared through our school system against some form of ideal way of being that someone has constructed in order to fit into a mold. And problem is that once someone thinks or get punished for not being that way, they instantly start believing, I'm not okay. I'm not enough. And as you're not enough, then you're also saying to yourself, lacking, I'm lacking something. And because I'm lacking it, the world is lacking. My world is lacking. I don't have enough because I cannot profit on my way of being who I am. I need to be someone different.
Yeah. A lot of people in school learn that they're not good enough. Schools are mostly academic. That is not to say they're getting good academic results. In fact, the academic results globally are getting worse, except in Finland and France.
Well done, Finland and France.
I think a lot, sorry?
Well done, Finland and France.
Exactly. But I think that children are bored in schools because their brains work really quickly. And as you say, we need to focus on our creativity, our unique brilliance, instead of competing with each other, because 30% of the classroom are possibly academic. What about the other 70%? Excuse me? We're not good enough? No, we're highly creative. If you look at some of the greatest entrepreneurs in the world, they didn't like school, or they left school, or they left university, or you left college because they had an idea and they were creative and they didn't fit in school. Well, why should we fit in school? Shouldn't a school fit us in our creativity and in our brilliance? So back to prosperity. Prosperity starts with your brilliance, with your self-love, with your uniqueness. Poverty, for me, is a lie. You can believe a lie if you want to. It's not right, it's not wrong, but does it work for you?
I also want to paint a little bit of a picture so people can get a perspective on how could the world be. So imagine that we have these wonderful youthful people who are from 0 to 6 years old. They're endlessly creative. And then in their teens, it's just 12% of their creative spark left. Now let's say that we could have kept this endless creativity. Then someone, I am 100% positive, will come up with how to solve the problems that we're facing today. Maybe, clean up the oceans, find sustainable energy sources, and so forth, and so forth, and so forth. And just for someone to actually understand, maybe people didn't know it, but at 1912, there actually were electric cars. Already at 1912. The combustion engine, when that was invented, sure, it was effective, but it also bought up all the patents for the electric cars. And because they weren't as profitable for the oil industry to compete with electricity. So just so we know that there's so much possibility of finding creativity on creating a completely different society, completely different way of being, completely different way of sustainability in this world that actually show complete and utter prosperity. And we have that within us, and allowing this creative spark would allow someone to mold these building blocks that we have available to us into something that benefits the whole of humanity.
Exactly. You're talking about futurepreneurship, which young people are very focused on. They want to change the world. So how do you change your future? You have an idea, you create it, you get into groups, you create together, and our children are futurepreneurs. So,
And sorry to interrupt you. Thankfully, I'm seeing there's a tendency for children today, because they are brought up by quite aware parents that are instilling a mindset in them that they are already worthy. So these children refuse to entirely accept the stories that the old world is telling them. So they're becoming rebels.
exactly.
And that is always needed in order for change to occur.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, in my meditation, every single day, I'm present to, and I'm actually creating, because I'm present to, and because my mind is creating this, a world of wealth, power, intelligence, and genius. So, wealth, prosperity, power, I mean the true power, the power within us. Intelligence, that everybody is intelligent, that everybody can access their genius, a world of genius, not just Einstein, just a handful of people, but everyone. So, okay, let's skip to next week. Next week, we are going to actually do a transformation process with Oscar. I'm going to take him through his ideas from the inner saboteur, what the inner saboteur thinks of prosperity or poverty, what the human being thinks of prosperity or poverty, and what the God in Oscar thinks of prosperity or poverty. You don't have to believe in God to watch this, but we're going to see how this progresses. The inner saboteur, the altered ego, the enemy within us, and we all have one, wants us to be in poverty. So don't let it. Don't let it. It's not, for me, it's not righteous to be in poverty when we have a world of prosperity. It doesn't make any sense. Let's all be prosperous. So next week, that's what we're going to do. So, Oscar, how do we get in touch with you?
They can reach me at realitydecoding.com. Simply book a session there, or they can go to Live Your Purpose on Facebook, and they can also look at my YouTube, Oscar Nygren.
Wonderful. Yeah. And for me, the best way is to go on LinkedIn, and Katarina Hanssens Carlsson is my brand name, but you'll find my official name is Catherine with a K, Katherine, Carlsson, Carlsson. Find me on LinkedIn. So we will see you next week for a prosperity breakthrough, and you can pace with Oscar and actually do the breakthrough yourself if you want to. And this week, I challenge you to think of prosperity. Every time you think of poverty or I don't have enough, prosperity, 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 because you are a prosperous being.
Yeah, and a final reminder or note to that is also, if you're noticing as you're saying these things to yourself, and by the way, saying an affirmation is always good to say in an I am kind of statement. I am a prosperous, I have the money I need, and so forth. If you see that resistance is coming up in the way, you can also write down what are the ideas that are in conflict with that. Because then you start seeing, oh, that's your inner saboteur. It's not you, it's your inner saboteur. But we're going to go deeper into that next week.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And also, what you can do is write a list of gratitude. I've written, I think it was 300 things or people I am grateful for, and it shifted a lot in my life. So we will see you next week. Have a prosperous week.